How can you build a diversified retirement portfolio? Welcome to Retirement Matters.
Relationships that build wealth, create opportunities, the right solutions. That's what we do at JN Fund Managers.
We're in pursuit of your financial security.
Portfolio and investment management services for individuals and corporate clients, from wealth building and risk management to preparing for a comfortable retirement. Strong, stable, secure.
We're in pursuit of your success.
Let's talk. JN Fund Managers, your safer, smarter financial partner.
Diversification. Good for your retirement portfolio? Yes? No? We'll find out. Mr. Llewellyn Bailey, formerly Assistant General Manager of JNBS, shares ideas on how we can create income streams for retirement. But that's later in the program. We speak now with Nahila Morris from JN Fund Managers, who will tell us of investment options we might consider adding to our retirement portfolio. Morning, Nahila. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, thanks, Annette. Good morning, listeners.
On almost every program in this series, the message has been, we need a well-thought-out strategy for retirement planning, and that we shouldn't rely on one source of funding.
That's right. Even if we have an employer-sponsored pension plan that is an approved superannuation fund or an individual retirement scheme, then we should add to that main source of retirement income. They could come from many places, some of which could be savings and investments. But before I do, I want to reinforce an earlier point. Approved employer-sponsored pension plans and the IRS are excellent ways to prepare for retirement. Our point is that it's wise to support them with other sources of retirement income.
There was a time, Nahila, when the first source of funds that would come to mind would be one's child or children. Is that still practical?
I'm glad you raised that, Annette. First of all, some people who retire don't have children. Secondly, many persons wish to be independent and would definitely not want to rely on their children for their everyday needs. The fact is, many parents, retired or not, still assist their adult children financially from time to time.
And that's not to say that adult children don't have a caring role, financial or otherwise, in the lives of their retired parents. Okay, so let's talk saving and investing options. Where do we begin?
Jamaicans love sports, so let me just use this as an example. Have you ever watched a successful long-distance runner? He knows exactly where he wants to be at each milestone of his race. He knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he plans his race, and he allocates his asset around what he wants, what he knows he wants to achieve.
Sometimes he even looks around him to see how well he's doing and makes adjustments. So you're saying it's all about strategy?
Definitely. But for our purposes, we'd be specific about our goals. How many years we are from retirement, how much risk we can take on, our present earnings and our expenses. In fact, these are just all the areas we've discussed in previous programs about creating any financial plan. Then we'd look at the options suited to us that can make that happen. And if you can also discuss them with a financial professional, then you're definitely on the right track. So what can we consider adding to increase our retirement portfolio? There are so many options. So we'll start with bonds and stocks as part of your diversified retirement plan. Let me stress the words part and diversified. The percentage of bonds in your overall portfolio will vary with the factors we mentioned earlier. As there are different categories and varieties of bonds, please get some expert advice when you're looking at them. Discuss the levels of yields, the currency, the life of the bonds, and any associated fees. Have a robust discussion, then choose the right ones for you. Understand how much or how little of these bonds that you should be adding to your portfolio. Generally speaking, though, they can provide fixed interest income throughout the bond's life, and you'll be repaid the principal when the instrument matures.
Okay, so different types of bonds can be included, and it's important to know which and the quantity that's right for where you are. You mentioned stocks.
I did. Stocks have been used successfully by many persons to build retirement funds. Purchasing stocks for retirement income strongly depends on the number of years you are from retirement. Stocks can yield high returns over the long term. Let's say if you're 20 to 30 years from retirement. However, persons closer to retirement will want a lower percentage of stocks in their retirement portfolio. Remember now, Your risk tolerance and time horizon work hand in hand. Again, know which stocks are a good fit for you. Ask about their yields and the probability of price appreciation.
Part of what you're saying is that the risk level of our retirement investments should not be having us lose sleep. More so when we're closer to retirement.
That's it. Gaining increasing popularity in Jamaica are collective investment schemes, or CIS as they're abbreviated. Some of them are ideal for retirement planning. Each fund in a CIS has a different financial profile. This allows you to increase the diversification of your portfolio. They are invested in various assets such as stocks, bonds, and money market securities. Often you can use a single fund or perhaps a combination of funds to create a portfolio uniquely designed for your goals and realities. Many investors will find that collective investment schemes make diversification easier. That is because they're managed by a team of expert investment professionals whose job it is to find ways to earn you returns on your investment.
You mentioned that there were other investment options, Nihila, but let's postpone those discussions so we can hear from Mr. Llewellyn Bailey, a retiree, a pension expert, and a former assistant general manager of our parent, JNBS. He was with us recently and shared insights on income streams we can add to the funds we'll receive from formal retirement funds and investment instruments. Thanks for agreeing to be our guest.
Good to be here with you.
At what stage did you begin preparing for retirement?
Well, at about age 20, I got married at about 24, and I started feeling it was necessary to own a home. I wasn't really thinking of retirement at the time, but I later found out that it was an excellent move in preparing for retirement. So it really, my retirement planning as such really started in my 30s. The pension that you begin with, which you think was adequate at the time, pretty soon becomes insufficient because of the effect of inflation, rising prices, what have you. You see, once you own the first piece of real estate, you'll find that it keeps appreciating in value. You can either use that increased value to go into your building society, credit union, whatever, and take an additional loan, a new mortgage. That's some years after it has appreciated. You can either expand it, Some people, where you have the garage section, you enclose that, probably add a little kitchenette or something, and then you can rent that out.
Second source
for
of
additional
income.
Yes, second source of income. Or if you are a bit higher in income, you could probably use the enhanced value of that security, that house, to acquire another one. Another piece of advice I'd give people, don't wait to own your first home as your dream home. Buy a home first that you can afford. It may not be in an area that you like, but you buy it, as long as it's not somewhere that is not saleable.
But a good starter home.
Yes, and then later you can take the next step. I don't want this to turn into a mortgage interview because I'm recalling many of my mortgage interviews.
But it's still helpful, and the principle stands, it applies
stands,
to other
yes,
situations
yes.
as well. Based on your personal experience, what would you say to persons preparing for retirement?
Okay, one of the most important things that we should do, and HR managers, pension fund managers should pay attention to this. I think people in employment should start being exposed to, seminars or lectures on retirement, preparing for retirement, from at least 20 years before they retire. Not 10 years or 5 years, which is the practice, yes. Because if you haven't done any of the things I'm talking about, it's a bit late.
Yes.
Mark, it's better you start doing something at any time, even 2 years. But to my mind, to start telling people how to prepare for retirement just 10 years before retirement, 5 years, horrors, that's hopelessly inadequate.
Yes.
You need to start from people, if they haven't started already, from people who are in their 30s. In the late 40s, it's getting late. Pension is never adequate, never adequate.
Yes.
You have to make other arrangements. When I was making these arrangements, my late wife, was a RN.
Yes.
I said, look, we've got to start doing something. And so she started a child care nursery.
Okay.
Which is another
source of
any
income.
sort of thing
Yes,
that you do,
yes.
That you can do. Try to find out what skills you have that could produce an income, and you start working at it. Don't wait until retirement.
Mr. Lou Bailey, thanks so much for the insights you've shared and for spending time with us.
My pleasure. Always glad to share my experiences.
Nahila, please share some of your thoughts.
It's always good to hear from a retiree on this program. Mr. Bailey's advice is practical and on point. Real estate can be a good additional income stream for retirees. Remember, though, it is not without risk. If you need to access large amounts of funds in a hurry, real estate just may take a while to dispose of. Additionally, funds to live on will not be available should the house remain unoccupied or if rent remains unpaid. Also, repairs and maintenance costs are sometimes high. The fact is, though, many retirees will tell you that for them it was a good decision.
I liked Mr. Bailey's advice about buying a starter home and growing and arranging second income streams by using your talents. His late wife, a nurse, opened a nursery. Mr. Bailey had much more to share when he visited. We'll hear from him again in another program. Thanks, Nahila. Good of you to be here.
Always my pleasure, Annette. I remind listeners that this program will be uploaded to JN Fund Manager's Facebook page, and questions can be sent by text on 877-2612 or emailed to jnfundmanagers@jnbs.com.
Thanks for that. We close with a reminder that retirement is a journey, not a destination. And for advice on that journey, be with us next Thursday at 8:10 on Nationwide 90. Take good care of yourself and others. Goodbye.